Hey guys, it's makeup time. As you can tell, nice and clean, just got out of the shower. I must like you because I let you see me like this. But there's a reason. So the other day I tried to go live while getting ready, and I did. So you could see kind of like a basic daily process of doing my makeup, and it didn't record any volume for some weird reason. So, I've got some black spot. So I just got a shower. This is my leftover mascara residue. Take care of that. So, what I'm gonna do today is talk about makeup. Not everything and anything, because we could be here for days. But I'm gonna do a little experiment, and I'm gonna do only half my face in full out, full face makeup. And then so you can kind of see the difference. That's what I mean by two-face style, what I named this video. So this I'll do one side all makeup, full glam, and then the other side will be plain left alone, so you can kind of see the difference makeup makes. I'm all for going, actually, what's funny is I'm all for going au natural, and I do it more often than not, honestly. As much as I love makeup, I am super lazy in the morning, and so because I'm not a morning person, I like to procrastinate getting up in the morning, and then I don't have time to do anything before work. So a lot of times when I do my makeup, it's either for an event, or on weekends when I can sleep in and it doesn't matter, or on days when I woke up early enough and I have enough time. So I'm for both ways. If you're not a big makeup person, that's okay. I just really love it. I like experimenting with it, doing all the fun stuff, and I get asked a lot of questions about the products I use and how I do stuff. So I just wiped my face down. I just got out of the shower, so it was already clean, but I did notice I had some mascara. I've got some pretty heavy duty mascara, so sometimes it doesn't wash off with just water. And because I'm lucky, knock on wood, to not really have skin problems, and so I'm just hot water and a rag kind of girl. I don't use soaps and things like that, because I've noticed every time I try to do that, I break out, something happens. I just have sensitive skin on my face. So, the water doesn't really wash off the mascara, hence the need for makeup remover wipes. Now, these are fantastic. Product number one. Let's talk about these for a second. I love them. They're the greatest things ever. Whoever created these is genius. Because I used to use, I remember back in the day when these didn't exist. And so you had to use the liquid makeup remover you had to put on paper towel, or you just good old fashioned rag and soap and water, or Vaseline. And I can't stand it. I don't like the Vaseline is so heavy. It works in a pinch, don't get me wrong. It's fantastic, especially if you had a lip stain and you can't quite get it to come off. Put some Vaseline on, just let it sit for a minute, and then it'll just wipe right off. But people use that to remove their eye makeup and stuff, but it's so heavy, I can't stand the feeling of it on my eyes like goo. And so these wipes for me are fantastic because they're just simple. They're very efficient, very easy. I'm trying not to knock over my makeup thing because I'm sitting on my couch here. Trying not to make a hot mess. So, there's tons of different makeup wipes. The ones that I have that I just use because they're super cheap is the Equate brand from Walmart. They're the knockoff, Original Clean. Based on Pond's Originals towelettes. Again, there's Neutrogena, which I've used before. If you are able to splurge, what I would highly, highly recommend is there's a makeup brand called Younique, which is fantastic. They're an all-natural makeup. All of their makeup, all of their products, 100% natural ingredients. There's no chemicals or anything like that in them. But their makeup remover wipes are fantastic. I have a friend who sells them, and we did an experiment once for a party that I had for her, and she wrote on my face with permanent marker, and it removed the permanent marker. Like, that's how awesome these things are, and they're all natural. They've got sunflower oil, jojoba, and something else. Super safe for your skin, not to mention they leave your skin feeling amazing because it's got that natural moisturizer in it. They don't feel like greasy afterwards, which I have to say these do. They tend to feel a little oily right after you use them. Once they dry, you're okay, but they do kind of have that initial feeling, whereas these other ones don't. So just in case you feel like splurging and you're able to, I can give you her name if you're interested. Hit me up. They have a website, and you can order them through her and help her out. That'd be fantastic. Again, the name is Younique. They're a big supporter of and promoter of raising funds for childhood sexual abuse awareness. And they have a whole foundation they actually have a facility where people can stay. It's pretty awesome. You should look into it. But now, let's get started. Okay, so I have tons. Actually, let's see if I can show you this. I have tons of makeup products. They barely all fit in this little container. I have a little cup full of brushes, all my different brushes, plus this one. But it's so little I don't put it in here, or I'd never be able to get it out. And then I keep all of my makeup in this nifty little thing I got from Walmart for $4. It's, oh gosh, don't spill it. It's one of those little plastic multi-drawer things. Woo! That would have been a hot mess. As you can tell, the drawers come out, and yeah, there's a lot. 5 drawers, all full of makeup. So, if you ever need anything, you know where to find me. Okay, let's get started. So, first things first, what I usually do is, rarely ever do I need it, gratefully, but on occasion, you need some concealer. I've got a bunch of different kinds. These are really the 2 products that I really enjoy. I love this one. It's made by Neutrogena, and it's a simple, actually, let's see what the actual name is. Yeah, it's the Neutrogena Healthy Skin brand line. It's a smoothing stick, and this is Fair 01. It's like the lightest of light you can get, and I bought it to help with highlighting and contouring. So it's super, super light. Obviously, my skin is not that light, but it works, and it doesn't show up, and because I put makeup on over it, so you can't see it. So this one I really, really love. I like the stick. It goes on real smooth. So I'm going to use this. I have some spots, so I'll put some here. Again, I'm only doing half of my face, so I'm going to leave this side untouched. So I just kind of put it where I feel like if I'm splotchy, like I said, because I have sensitive skin, sometimes my skin will have it'll get red and splotchy with certain shampoos or conditioners or something like that. Usually in that case, I'd stop using them. But I'm looking okay so far. The lighting is kind of awful. I have a little bit of natural lighting, and then my big old fake light, ceiling fan light, so it probably looks a little distorted. I have an eyelash in my eye, sorry. Okay, so we're going to use that. The other one I use sometimes it's one of these 2. It's by Physicians Formula, which is also a great brand, and it's a concealer twin stick. And usually what happens is the green, there's different kinds, and they all do different things. Now, if you naturally are red undertone like me, you can see my face is red. It always is, no matter what I do. And it gets really red if I get warm or overheated or whatever. So blushing is non-existent for me because my face is always red. But if you have a spot, or if you struggle with acne and you have red blotches or rosacea or things like that, you're going to want to find concealers like this that have a green. And sometimes they're separate ones, so you'd have to buy one of each. But the green, actually, it's a tone evener. So it helps remove that red splotchiness and even out your tone so that your actual foundation goes on evenly and smoothly. I'm not going to use it because I just used that other one. But in this case, like I would have put it, I don't put it everywhere because my face isn't that red. But usually I put it on those trouble spots, which actually I could probably do. We'll do a little bit. With the joys of makeup. And no, I know it looks silly because it's like, oh, that's green. But you rub it in a little bit. Let it dry. I'd recommend using a moisturizer or like a face primer before you start putting on makeup. I do have one, I just totally forgot. I don't use like lotion. Some people use lotions and stuff, and go for it if your skin lets you do that. Mine does not. It just doesn't work out well if I do that. So I use that, and as you can see in the light, it's like it's a very pale green. Sorry, I don't mean to keep like flipping people off. I just use my middle finger. And then you take the other end and you put the tan over it. And it helps even out. And then voila, green is gone. But then it evens out. You can even tell just like, because I just put it like right here on my face, you can even tell like the difference between this skin and like this. Like, see how red this is? It's crazy. But it makes a difference when it's all said and done. So that's usually what I do first. And then you would start using like your foundation. It's concealer first, foundation. Some people do it the other way around. But then you can tend to see the concealer, and so it doesn't look as well. So I wouldn't recommend it. I have a bunch of different foundations. I don't use them all, but I mean, sometimes I do. I just kind of rotate. It's whatever I feel like using. I have this one, True Match Lumi, which is awesome. It's like a liquid to cream. It goes on really smooth and even. I really love it. You just use your fingertips or like a sponge. I haven't found brushes that I like enough to use with these yet. I need to get some sponge brushes and like blending brushes, and I haven't found any good ones that I like yet. So for now I use my fingers, or you can buy the bag of like the little triangle old school disposable sponges. Those work great as well. They're like $1 for like a big old bag, but they're disposable. Do not use them more than once because it's really gross. They get a lot of germs and makeup stays in them, and it just doesn't work out well. So I have this, which is like a cream. It goes on pretty even. I also have a mineral powder foundation that is by Ulta. It's a new one. I just got them. I was excited. I really like the powders. It really just kind of depends on if I'm having a day where I just feel like ugh, and I feel like I need a lot of coverage, I'll use more of this and just kind of brush it with this at the very end, like very lightly. But most days, just like an on-the-day thing, because I don't really have a lot of skin problems, I use this one only. So, for today, I'm going to use just the powder. And I'm also going to use do some contouring. Like I said, I'm going to go full out. A lot of people don't understand what contouring is. That's okay. There's a gazillion YouTube tutorials. I'm going to give you a mini lesson. Basically, what it is you can actually buy like contouring sets, like special makeup. But basically all it is it's different color foundations. And then it's the way you use them to accent your face. So I have a full like contouring palette, but because I don't have the proper brushes, I'm going to use what I did before I got those. And I have these. They are called Fit Me Shine Free sticks. They're like foundation sticks, see? And they're by Maybelline, Walmart. And they're like two tones. It's got a lighter tone in the middle. They all have numbers. You find the one that matches your skin tone. But for contouring purposes, notice I have two. Because of what I did is I find the one that's my skin tone. And then I bought one lighter, and then I bought one darker. So my skin tone would normally be in the middle. And so what you do with the contouring is you put the lighter on areas of your face that you want to accent, that you want to make appear brighter, bigger. So if you have like a super small forehead, or you if you have tiny eyes, it'll help accent that. So for example, I will show you. This is the light one, this is the dark one. And this is a 120 is the number. They all are assigned numbers to make it easier to repurchase. And this isn't the lightest because, like I said, usually sometimes they'll use this Neutrogena stick I showed you earlier. But for the purposes of what I'm going to show you, the light, you put dark where you want to appear smaller, and you're shaping your face basically is what you're doing. But you want to put a light right down the middle of your nose, right here, and it varies depending on your face shape. It really does. And I usually do right here on the end of like corner of my eyebrow because it's like a natural eye lifter. And you go under your eye, and a lot of people think, oh, I lighten up the circles under my eyes by just doing this. That's not true, because it actually can make it look worse. You do a triangle, and what happens is the light, it pulls away from that, and it helps even it out and pull away from the dark circles instead of accenting it. It helps kind of blend everything out so it looks like all even. So we'll put the light here. I'm going to look like a clown, guys. It's going to be very entertaining. So you usually put that, and if you like to think, what I like to think is if you were to draw a heart on your face, right? Anything inside that heart is usually the part that you want to accentuate. Usually. In my circumstance, that's the case. Under my eyes, I want to make it appear brighter so I look more awake and, put together. If you have a big forehead, you don't want to put a lot of light up there because you're going to make it look even bigger, or vice versa. So we'll go there. And then I usually, makeup should go down your neck. Do not stop at the bottom of your face here. Don't do it. That's what gets you that tacky orange line, or the line that's like clearly visible on, like you see people and you're like, too much makeup. That's why. You're supposed to even it out. You just put some there, which you can barely tell because this is pretty close to my natural skin tone. Then I have one that's darker. And the darker spots, you're going to go, if you smile, you're kind of going to go right like under your cheekbone here. You're going to connect like your upper ear to like the corner of your mouth. So you're going to do this. It's easier to smile even. Now me, I've done it so many times that I barely have to do that. But, so you see I have a dark line here. And I usually go under here as well, because I have this extra fat, double chin, whatever you want to call it, that I want to make appear thinner or smaller. I'll put the dark around here as well. And I also alternate in here just to even underneath out. And then I usually go along the outer part of and on the inside of your nose. Gotta be careful because I don't want to get it all over my nose, right? But okay, so the light goes on the bridge of your nose, the dark goes on the inside. It makes your nose appear smaller. It's hard to tell in this lighting, but I think you can see it in general. It looks very clowny. I'm actually going to use some of this even lighter one just to kind of show the stark contrast. There you go. See how you can see it even more now? Some light there, and I usually do light in between this dark and this dark. I'll do a little bit, not a ton. You'll see when I smooth it all out that it'll kind of blend really well. And I'll use some of my normal bronzer. This is a Mary Kay one, but I have a two-tone bronzer that I'll use on top of the darker spots to kind of accentuate those. So you can kind of get the gist compared to like nothing on this side, like I said. So we're going to I use my hands. What I do love about these sticks, these Shine Fit sticks by Maybelline, they are super creamy. They're not heavy at all, but they're very lightweight. And so it's like, it takes very little effort. I'm using my hands and it takes very little effort. You'll notice I do all the light spots first. I don't want to do like wipe just light, dark, whatever, because you're going to blend it all together. So I kind of like blend in all the light areas, and then I'll go back and do the dark areas. You want to blend that into your hairline so you don't have like a blatant line. Kind of like you don't want it along the bottom, you don't want it along the top either. So I'll blend that out with my finger underneath. Again, I'd recommend using sponges or brushes, but because I don't have any right now, I'm cheating and using my hands, which I just washed, so we're okay. Now I go back and I will blend in the dark here. You kind of massage it into your line here. Okay. Now, you can kind of see it. I know it's hard to see in this lighting, but you can kind of see, not necessarily the difference between the dark and light, but you see how this side looks almost like polished or even toned, and this is like, you can see like lighter spots, a red spot, like freckles, and these are just, it's just more even, whereas this is kind of like all natural, it's kind of splotchy, etc. That's what makeup does. I'm actually going to try to use some darker, use my bronzer here, see if I can get a little more particular. I have this brush, which is fantastic. It's like an angled, like this, super smooth, and it's made by e.l.f. It's a contouring brush. And what you do is you just put a bunch of makeup on there. I'm going to use more of the darker side because I'm trying to accentuate that. See? And then you go right where you put your cream. Same spots that you put the cream dark. And you put your powder. It also helps to do this. Like, make the fishy face. So you're just like, so you can kind of see where your jawbone goes in. That's what you're wanting to accentuate. Try blending that in. I go down just so it all blends well. Okay, so now, because I did it a little over the top on purpose so you could see the difference. You know, and that's the good thing about makeup. If you feel like you did too much, take one of your wipes and just wipe it off and start over. Or dab it a little bit to kind of get rid of some of the darkness and blend over it with one of your brushes and you'll be good to go. But there you can kind of see the difference. And I'm actually going to go back in with my lighter, a little bit more dark here. Right along your jawline, and it makes, for people who have like big faces like me or round faces, it helps kind of make that appear smaller. And I'm accentuating it, accentuating. Oof, gotta learn to talk. Okay. Okay, so we're good to go there. You also accentuate where you did it on the inside of your nose there. And I'm actually also going to go back in with my lightest stick, the Neutrogena, just to highlight it even more, to make it stand out. It's not quite as light or as contrasty as I would like it. So I'm going to go back in. And I'm going to put eyeshadow on my eyes so you don't got to worry so much about underneath. But just for the purposes of blending it. If you're a blush person, you can apply blush. I am not, because I have natural red face. I don't need blush. It's like the last thing I need. And I just put dark here. I'm gonna go right underneath it with the light just to kind of help accentuate that shaping a little bit. Now, I can see it. I don't know if you can see it because of the lighting or the camera or whatever. But if you look closely, see if I can look straight on. Now, do you see the difference in my face? You have this side, and it kind of like looks like it divots in here a little bit. So it just gives the appearance of a thinner face, and even underneath here. Whereas this is just like perfectly round. Not that whatever. It just is. You can visibly see the difference. And in like natural lighting, you can see it even more. And it looks very natural and not bad at all. It doesn't look super like you have orange streaks all over your face. It can, which means it really helps to do your makeup in natural light or really good light. If you have really bad like fluorescent yellow light like I'm using right now, which I wouldn't recommend, it's going to look different in natural light, so you want to check. That's usually the first thing I do. Sometimes if I do my makeup in bad lighting, then I will, like as soon as I go outside and get in my car, I look in a mirror so I can see and make sure I don't look like a clown. Now, in this circumstance, I didn't even put anything on this brush. This is my little, what I call my foundation brush. And some of them, you can have a similar thing and they have the big sticks, I just really like this one, so this is the one I use. Normally, it actually looks pretty even, so I'm not going to do much. Sometimes I'll take the brush that doesn't even have anything on it and just go over it, because there's something about the bristles, it just kind of smooths it out. Actually, I think that's exactly what I'm going to do, because I just like the way it's looking. So, that's the base. Now you start with, somebody's watching, but I don't know who. Oh, as I almost knocked something over. Now, you start with the fun stuff, what I like to call the fun stuff, eyeshadow and all that. This is where I get a lot of compliments. This is where a lot of people ask me what I use and how I did that, things along those lines. So, I have tons and tons and tons of eyeshadows. One of my favorites, my favorite brands, is actually, it's called Infallible, and it's made by, here we go, L'Oreal. Again, it's a Walmart brand. And they have an Infallible eyeshadow line, and they all look like this. They come in fantastic colors. Like I have this fun dark pinky color. I've got a plum color. I have green. I've got black. I have like light. I've also got like a pink. Oh, like a baby pink. A light pink color. But they have flat colors too. These, I bought some of these because they're shimmery and I like the way the shimmer looks. I think it's just really flattering. So that tends to be my favorite brand. I also do have of individuals. I have a couple palettes as well. I tend to have a neutral. I have a neutral palette, which is made by Maybelline. This is old school, actually. I'm sure they still have it, but it's all browns. It's like different. Like you have dark brown, medium brown, light brown, and then like a white tan, light tan color. And this is great. It even tells you on the back. It's just great neutral. So if you're doing a day where you want to look really natural, and even this, because of this dark, you can make it pretty glam because the dark and the light have a little bit of shimmer, or I'm sorry, the middle and the light have a little bit of shimmer, and so you can still get kind of glam with the neutrals, but it even tells you on the back like how to apply it, like 1, 2, which colors. It's fantastic. I have some that are, I have a super shimmery palette where all of the colors, they're pretty heavy. They go on the brush very easily. It does not take a lot. That was given to me. I have some other palettes in fun colors made by Hard Candy, which is also a fun... Hard Candy is a really fun brand because they sell all like the funky colors. They're great if you have like parties or costumes and things you have to do like that, because they have all these fabulous fun colors, but it's good makeup. It's not like cheap makeup that's going to fall apart or get all over the place or not stay on. Anyway, so that's just some of them. L'Oreal Infallible line, that's my favorite eyeshadows. And then those few palettes I showed you are my favorite. Ooh, as I knock everything over. Let's see if I can move this just to be safe. Okay, so what I do first is I have a light. This one is made by Mary Kay. You can get them anywhere. You can use basically a light, super light color, which is what I do first, is like a base. This I use as a base. Technically, it's an eyeshadow. It's a cream to powder eyeshadow, but it's super light, and I use it as a base. You can also use like an eyeshadow primer, which a lot of times come in like sticks. Like this one, for example, is made by e.l.f. There's like nothing on it. It's worn off, but it's made by e.l.f. It goes on like basically clear, and you just spread it on there, and it's a nice primer, and it helps your eyeshadow stick. So in this case, I'm going to use this. This is my favorite because it's the cream to powder. It stays, it's long lasting, and then the other eyeshadows stick to it better, my personal opinion. So with this, it is a cream. I use my finger until it gets too deep, and then I can't, and then I use a brush. I just like being able to feel it smooth out. And I'd recommend washing your hands before you touch all your eyes and your face with all this makeup. And I keep a wipe next to me so I can wipe off my fingers in between. Or use a lot of brushes. I just seem to be very hands-on today. So I just use this as a light base. Like I said, you can barely even see it. It's very natural colored looking. It's got a very, very faint kind of shimmer to it. But even with that, even with just that, you can see how it's even more even toned and less splotchy. Then over here, like I have some freckles right on my eyelids. And there's super light here, but it's tan here and tan here from like the summer. Things like that. So that helps even it out. And it helps the eyeshadow that I'm about to put on stay. Let's see. What color do we want to use? I don't know. Let's go. Ooh, I don't know. I should have made up my mind before I did this. We'll do neutrals. We'll go the classic neutral route. I usually do my eyeshadows before. I'm sorry, not my eyeshadows. My eyeliner before I put on my eyeshadow. Some people put it on afterwards. I notice it doesn't. It's harder because I tend to be an eyeshadow wearer, pretty heavy eyeshadow wearer. It's harder for the stick to go on smoothly over the powdered makeup. So I put it on before. I like that look. I like that the powder kind of dulls it a little bit so it's not so bold. People who use liquid eyeliner tend to do it last over the top. You could do either. It's personal preference. I really love, again, Revlon. More Revlon products. This is their eyeliner. It's just it's a dark brown eyeliner. Black brown, I think, is the proper name for it. And it's got a smudge stick on the end. It's two ends. You can have a smudge stick. I don't use the smudge stick a lot just because I don't really need it. Sometimes I do. I guess it really depends on your personal preference, but I try to start out pretty light. Sometimes my hand will slip and I get pretty heavy-handed, and then I have to even it out. Or if it gets too heavy, then I gotta wipe it off, remove it, and start over. It happens. Nobody's perfect. As you can see, I'm like pulling on my eye, which I don't know if you're supposed to do that or not, but I do it. I just notice it helps things go on really smooth and even. So you have a nice little brown arch there. You get as close to your lash line as possible, because if you don't, you'll see, like when you open your eyes, you'll see the skin gaps under there, which you don't want. I am also an eyeliner underneath person. You don't have to. I don't do it all of the time, but most of the time. And you literally also just drag it right along your lash line. Some people put it like inside their eye. You can do that too. I tend to put it right along the lash line, thicker, and then I'll just kind of go in right over this. So you barely, like, and you can't feel it. I know if you're not used to putting on eyeliner, you'll probably be pretty fidgety, but you really can't feel it. And I'll open and kind of see what it looks like. And I try to do it thicker on the outside here, so it like blends really nice. And it doesn't look like I have like a U underneath my eye, because I have pretty big eyes, so they don't necessarily need to look more round. It just kind of helps give them a shape and almond them a little bit. The almond shape. Okay, here we go. There's my eyeliner. The basic. This is a great, I like the soft kohl sticks The soft kohl eyeliners are my favorite just because they go on really smooth. I hate liquid eyeliner. I don't know, I just can't apply it. I get shaky and I get nervous and I just do not like it. I feel like I have more control over this, so that's why I use sticks. Again, these I have in a bajillion different colors. I think it's fun to wear colored makeup. You only live once, might as well have fun. Okay, now comes the eyeshadow part. I'm going to pull out my neutral here that I showed you. My Maybelline neutral, upside down, stick. I never use these little things. I don't even know why they're still in there. Usually I throw them away. But these little sticks that come in there, don't use them. I mean, you can, but then get rid of them because you can't really clean them without ruining them. That's why you can buy the replacements pretty cheaply. You can buy like a bag for like $1 of a whole bag of them. They're disposable. Use them once, dispose them. They hold too many germs in them and old makeup, and it's really bad because you put them so close to your eye. Not a good idea. So I don't use it. Usually I throw them away. I don't know why I haven't in that one yet. I use my brushes because brushes are easier to clean, and they're not as fragile as those little foam things. So I have a bunch of different types of brushes, but this is the one I start with. It's also made by e.l.f. I'm a fan because they're cheap, but they're really good. This is called a crease brush, and so it's super tiny little head, you can tell, just to like compare. Super tiny and short bristles, but it's great for doing like your crease because it's short and small and it's not this big brush. You have a lot of control over it. So the way I do it is I pretty much do kind of like a smoky eye thing all the time, every day, no matter what I'm doing. I just use different colors. Sometimes I'll make it stronger, more bold if it's like, if I'm going out for the evening or an event, and then I'll make it softer if it's like a daytime thing. Sometimes I make it darker for a daytime thing because I like having glamorous eyes. I don't know. But in this situation, what I do is I usually pick the darkest one, the darkest color. So in this case, it's going to be this dark, chocolatey, brown looking color. The dark one, it's flat, it doesn't have a shine to it, but it's dark. And then I usually go along, see how that goes on pretty heavy? So I usually just do a little bit right on the end of the eye here. And I don't go past the middle of my eye. So you just kind of do this corner. And then you do right where you, like if you were to open your eyes, right where it creases there is where you want to circle it around. So it's kind of like a sideways V, like you can see. Or some people do a C if it's like, me I have big eyes, so I have more space here. Some people have smaller eyes, so they just kind of do this shape. Either way, it's about the same. You can make it as big or as little as you want, depending on your personal preference. So we start there. And you just kind of go until you feel like it's nice and blended and even. You want it darker in the corner than you do over here. So don't go like super heavy up here, because you don't want that. So you just kind of brush a little bit there, but mostly just keep it nice and dark in the corner. If you want to make it heavier, make it heavier. If it's too dark, again, just tap it a couple times with your makeup remover. Wipe. It'll remove some of it. You can even it out with a lighter color. I think that's good for now. So I use the light one, and then you use one dark color here. So light color base, dark color for your crease here. This is how you do the smoky eye look. What I also do is, before I add anything to my brush, I even though most of it like I just put up here, there's still residue on your brush. And because I don't want underneath super heavy, I try to brush just kind of like right by my eyeliner here. It's like what people do to smudge. And if it's not doing it enough, if you feel like it needs to be bolder, then you can put a little bit more of the eyeshadow on there. I just like doing a very little bit at a time because I don't want to have like literally black circles around my eyes. You don't want to be a raccoon. And so you go right over your eyeliner and it kind of just softens it. It doesn't make it like this harsh line. Bam. There's my dark there. Okay, now I usually pick, Another color, same, really, it doesn't even matter, whatever color you want, because I've used lighter colors. I was going to say stick in the same, like, theme. So if you're going neutrals, then you want to stick with, like, a lighter brown color. Sometimes I do the brown, then I'll use, like, an accent color. Whichever one you want. Pinks look really good. Greens look really good with brown. Whichever one you want to use. In this case, I'm going to kind of stick in that same neutral zone. But because it's lighter here, I'm going to pick a shimmery color. I like the shimmer there. So I'm going to go to my shimmery palette here that I have. And I'm going to use this gold. Let me look, make sure I'm picking the right one. Okay. I'm going to use, I lied, I pointed at the right one. This one right here. It's hard to tell, but it's like a yellowy gold color. This one is also very, very pretty. It's like a rose gold. It's very nice. Again, it's really personal preference. Sometimes I'll mix them, so I'll just tap a little bit on each one. Which actually, let's do that. See what it looks like. If you feel like you have a lot on your brush, just blow on it a little bit, and it'll help kind of blow that excess off of there. And then you go right here in this empty space right here, and you fill in. It's as simple as that. You can use the same brush or a different brush. In this case, I'm using the same one just because it was in my hand. But usually, I would flip over to this brush, which is a different, it's flat. See, it's skinny, it's flat. You have different control over it compared to this one. See how they're different? It's also a little bit bigger. So I'll switch just to show. So you do a little bit lighter. Some shimmery get going on. Okay. So this is a lighter. And people are like, well, why are you going lighter over your darker? And you really don't. You fill in the empty space, and then you kind of like, once I get most of it off the brush, I just kind of run over the dark areas real quick, just because it helps blend everything. And see, like when I'm done, you can still see the darker area. And if it gets too light and there's not enough contrast for you, like in this circumstance, I would probably go back and make this dark a little darker, just so you can see the difference. That is my personal preference. So I'm actually going to do that now that we're talking about it. Just to kind of show. So you can go back in with some dark. There's nobody says you can't go back and add. So I'll add just a little bit so you can still see the contrast. And then without adding anything to the brush, the light colors, you just use it again to kind of smooth it out and blend it. And I didn't add any additional shadow, so it's still pretty dark here. Because if I were to add more light, it's just going to be light again like you just had it. That's what I do with that. So far I have two different colors. You pick a dark color, and then you pick a shade or two lighter. Something shimmery is always fun. And then what I do is I pick one even lighter, like a white, or a really, really light, like tan, blush, pale color. And you use it in the corners. This, because I just used it, I do this. I wipe it in my hand just to get some of that excess off. Some people use towels, brushes, makeup remover wipes. You're more than welcome to do that. I also, as you can tell, I'll use the end of my brush. If I feel like I got an eyelash in my eye, I have eyelash problems. Sometimes they grow underneath instead of flip up. But, so I'll use like the end of my thing to kind of like smooth out my eyelashes because I have makeup on my hands. So I don't want to like stick my finger in my eye because that'll make it worse. I'm sure that was super appealing. Sorry, guys. Okay, so then I'll use something super light. So I'll use this like white color in this circumstance. And like I said, this particular palette goes on heavy, so it doesn't take much. And you go right, if you close your eye, you go right in the corner here, and you just dab, dab, dab. And it's okay to get it like on the inside and underneath. There's a trick to that. And then you kind of go up all the way to your eyebrow. Tap some more. Just a little bit at a time. You don't want to do too much. Then you can kind of keep looking and be like, okay, I like that. So I do the light right under the eyebrow and in the corner of your eye. Because then I'll use my finger to kind of smooth it out so I don't have a bunch of glitter in the corner of my eye. Okay? So it's nice and smooth. You can kind of see, sorry I have an eyelash, it's driving me nuts. You can kind of see what happened there. So see, if I look up towards the light, you can see the light reflection of the light right here, right underneath my eyebrow. And it gives it a natural, like, eye lift, awake look. So then you have this shadow, kind of smoky eye look. That's how you get that. My eyeshadow is basically done. You can mess with it. Sometimes I just take my time and I fool around with it until I find what I like. I mix it up a bunch of different ways. Whatever. It's personal preference. You can also, what a great, if you're an eyebrow person, like I just got my eyebrows done not that long ago, so they still look pretty good. I do have an eyebrow stick that I just got, like a liner. You can also use eyeshadow, which I tend to like. Sorry guys. Whew. Something is in my eye. Okay. You can use an eyebrow stick, or you can use an just eyeshadow, which I tend to like because it looks super natural. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and use eyeshadow just so you can see. I'm going to go back to my light palette here. You find the color that's like closest to your natural like hair color. I'm blonde. Your eyebrows are darker than your hair most of the time. Not by a lot, but by a little bit. And so you just pick a color that's not going to be too dark. Although dark eyebrows are kind of the thing. So if you like dark eyebrows, go for it. And I tend to I'll use like this color. You can hold them up. You can kind of see which one's going to be close. This one's a little darker, but this one's like too dark. So we're going to use this one and just go lightly. And so I use an angled brush in this circumstance. It's very tiny, as you can see, very skinny, very short, angled brush, super tight bristles, so it doesn't have you have a lot of control over it. And I just put a little bit on the end here. Not that you can see it, but you just put a little bit on the end. And then you kind of follow the shape of your eyebrow. I always kind of do a line underneath, like you can see the stark contrast that I just did. And then I kind of go down, angle down like my natural eyebrow does. There's a bunch of different eyebrow shapes. I would follow your natural one. Some people, don't have eyebrows basically, and so they draw them on every day, which, go you. I wouldn't have the patience to do that. And then I go through without really adding much or any makeup to my brush. I just kind of go through and use the makeup that's already there to blend it or fill in that space. So if you have see the difference? It's crazy. And you go down a little bit here. Just because I like that look. I like that angled look. I try to make it kind of sharp there. It's a little, and you can see like kind of right here where it looks a little dark. And then you go over it with your fingers a couple times. And some of it will wipe off on your fingers and it'll remove some of that. You can also go in with a lighter color to kind of hide it. So in this circumstance, if I don't like it looks like it's maybe like not quite perfect, and because I'm doing a video and I feel like it, I can just put some of that light color that I used on a brush and just go right up under there and bam. And blend it out a little bit. It doesn't look bad at all. Just fills. You can even go over just a tad, then use your finger to kind of brush it out. You can also use one of these. It's actually a mascara thing, but I use it for eyebrows because I just like the control it gives me. And so you can just kind of use it to brush your eyebrows nice and smooth. Brush them up. Just to get that shape you really like. And there you go. Bam. So, I'm already seeing a difference. I don't know if you can tell the difference, but I'm already seeing a difference. Like this eyebrow looks a little higher. It's got that lift from that light color. If it's not quite as big as you want, add a little more light here. It'll add a little more highlighter. And bam, there you go. It'll make it look a little bigger. Highlight, you want to put right above your eyebrow, right under your eyebrow, and your corner right here. That's what makes your eye look bigger. Just saying. That's what you want to do. Now we're going to do some mascara. Like I said the other day that you guys didn't get to see because my video was being dumb. I use two different mascaras. I have my really fabulous one that I love. It's called Buxom Lashes. You buy it at Sephora. It is $19 a bottle. It's really expensive. I splurge and only buy it when I can afford it. And then I've noticed it works best when I use another, just like regular mascara with it. This is like CoverGirl Lash Blast Volume Waterproof Basic. I have a couple of different ones. But what I do, because my eyelashes, if I turn to the side you can see, they're really short. They're very, very short, and they pretty much stick straight out. They don't really curl. And so they're basically non-existent. It's a fact I have had to face. I dislike it. I would love to have more. If I could do falsies, that's one thing I haven't mastered. I would really love to be able to do them, apply false eyelashes every day, just because I love the look of them. I think they're super glamorous and fun. And why not? Experiment. My face, makeup is like art to me. Like, I just like messing with it, and I like kind of being funky and making all these different things. So I'm going to use this one, the Lash Blast, your basic. Really pick two, it doesn't even matter. And then take the least favorite of the two and do that one first. And you just go and you apply your mascara like normal. I try to get as close, because mine are super short, I don't have a lot of leeway here. So you try to get as close to your actual lash line as possible without poking yourself in the eye. It's really a skill. That's why you see girls often like make really weird faces and they're doing this thing. They're like, They open their eyes, or they make silly faces and open their mouth while they're applying their mascara. Because for some reason, it's a hyper focus. So you do that. You can kind of see, oh yeah, I have a little bit of eyelashes. So now, I don't do my eyelashes on the bottom. Not normally. I guess sometimes I do, but rarely. I just don't like the feeling of it, so I don't do it. But then I take my fancy stuff, what I call my fancy stuff, that I love. And while the other one is still wet and you go over it, you do like a second coat. And this one, I also start as close to the base as possible and drag up really slow. And it helps to kind of do this. Go back and forth. It helps pull your eyelashes apart so they're not like gooping together. Gooping? That's a good word. And I'll go to the angle here so you can kind of see the corner. And then it's like, bam. And then I'll kind of touch at the ends real quick. I just blink a couple times. Woo! I have eyelashes. That's it. That's all I do. You can use, like I said, it doesn't have to be like a fancy, expensive mascara. You can use more than one. I did it before when I have, like I said, I had a couple. I have another CoverGirl one, but it's just a different type. Like, this one's waterproof. This one is like a volumizer. They all have different purposes. But I was finally able to invest in a good one, so I was excited. And now, the lips. Let's do, I'm gonna show, I often post pictures of me with my lipstick, like selfies and stuff, because they're fun. And I really like messing with lipstick because you can kind of make I found a way, basically like a natural, it's a trick to use makeup to kind of make your lips look fuller without actually using any of those fillers or doing that weird stuff with a cup. I don't understand, but that was going around for a while there, and people were having like scars because they were sucking on cups to make their lips like swell up. Don't do that. There's a natural way. So what I do, if I can get the door open, see, it's so full of makeup that sometimes it does this and it gets trapped. Okay, I'm gonna use a lip liner. Let's see, what color do I want to do? We'll do pink. Why not? Okay, so I have a pink eyeliner, lip liner. It's actually, I ordered it, and it's from like China, as you can tell with the random writing. Actually, I think that's Arabic. That was super offensive of me. I apologize. This is Yeah, it's from some Arabic company. I got it from that Wish app where you pay like $1 and you get like 14 colors. Just as something fun to try out because they're all super colorful and I like them a lot. I'm missing something. Oh, it's because it's in my purse and not in my makeup thing. Because I just used it. Okay, so what we do, we're actually going to use a couple of things. That's the trick. It's not just one thing. But I don't really have to reapply during the day, so that's awesome. So what I do is I take a nude, a super light. You can actually use even a lighter color, or you can use white eyeliner and use it. And so what I do is I just apply the light, the nude color, or your light color, or white color, really whatever you want. Again, I'm only going to do half of my lip, which is going to be weird to do. So you just apply the light. You can barely tell the difference. It's super light. And then I take my lip liner. You should never ever wear lipstick or lip gloss or really lip anything without lip liner. It's amazing. And you trace. Some people like, I have a natural, pretty defined Cupid's bow. So some people trace it. Some people accentuate it and they'll make it super sharp. I do trace it just to even it. See, I have a line. And I go all the way to the corner of my mouth. Then what I do, as a tip I learned way back in the day from my neighbor who sells Mary Kay, and like for a living, that's her job, and she's crazy good at it. She's been doing it forever. Her name's Deb. Shout out to Deb McIntyre. She taught me way back in the day to do this trick with lip liner. You fill in your corners here, almost like it's lipstick. And you do this. And I know it looks silly, but it won't when I'm done. So you have the dark corner and the lighter middle. And that's the key, is you have the dark around the outside and the lighter in the middle, and that's what makes it look three-dimensional. But you blend it because you don't want to have like a visible line. And then I'm going to use my pink. This is really, this is also by e.l.f. e.l.f. lipstick. Shout out. Fantastic. This is e.l.f. This is the nude I just used. It's also e.l.f. And then this is the pink. Just to compare so you can see. Also e.l.f. They're super creamy, super light. They go on very smoothly. They're fantastic. I apply it over the liner in the corners and kind of along the bottom where I did the liner. I don't want to go over the whole thing because I don't want to go over, because this pink is pretty bold, I don't want to go over the light that's already there. And then you just do the whole smooth out thing. Actually might have to do my whole lip just for the purpose of being able to see it. Maybe I'll just extend it so you can see the difference. So you rub it together so you can kind of see how you have that natural dimension because it's darker on the inside and lighter in the middle. Remember, I'm not doing this side, but I guess I can show you just so you can see. And sometimes I'll go back in and fill with a liner, or you can even go back in with an even darker liner and do some more shadowing. Do the same thing on this side just so you can see. It's hard to do half a lip to get the full effect. See? Smooth it out. It's lighter in the middle. but not like drastically. You rub it, they're both really creamy, it'll kind of naturally blend. Sometimes if you're feeling super funky, you can even use like a darker shade, which I do have. I do have a darker pink lipstick in here. It's also pink, but it's heavier. It's like a cherry picking. It's like a magenta color versus being as bright. And you can go over it also in the corners. And now you can actually see the contrast. Now don't leave your lips like this. Don't have just like a stripe down your lips. But what you do is you go along the bottom there to kind of connect the two. And just blend your lips. That's it. Super easy. It's hard to do that, line that with lipstick. But that's basically what you do. They also have natural lip like highlighters that are kind of like shimmery, that'll make the dimension stand out. I don't have one actually. I think I used all of it. But you can also use like a gloss. Like this one is like a shiny gloss, and you just put very little bit. This comes out very fast, so I use my finger. Just a very little bit, like in the middle there. And see how it just kind of makes it look fuller and more dimension compared to before. So, this is my face. It's kind of weird being like two different things going on. But that's the shindig. That's me and my makeup. That's what I do. I fool around with a bunch of different colors. I use a bunch of different products. I'm not biased. I love trying new stuff. Like I said before, I'm all about experimenting and trying new brands and things like that. So, this is... oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, I did sneeze. Sorry. This is what it looks like. And this is the difference makeup can make. Because it's like, what? Like my face looks thinner right here. My eye looks bigger. I have a bolder eyebrow. My lips are bam. This is what I do. And my skin just looks altogether more even, an even skin tone. And now if you compare that to this side, where it's kind of like, it's not bad. I have good skin, but it's not like splotchy. And the difference makeup can make. This eye, I just feel like it's like, oh hey, I'm awake. And this eye's like, I didn't bother to put makeup on today. Like, it's kind of silly. It's weird looking. I've always wanted to do that. People experiment and do the two, like one side of their face, and just to see the difference. It's interesting. That was a new thing for me. You got to watch. Yeah, so I just wanted to share some of my tips, some of what I do kind of on a daily basis, or, well, not daily, but when I do my makeup. So you can kind of see the difference. And then what's sad is I have to turn around and take it all off. I'm going to use the same wipe I've been using. That's great, is because these ones are pretty damp, so you can use them and get a lot out of them. But, as you can tell, makeup side. No makeup side. Well, minus the lipstick. That's it. And then, voila. You use the wipes to wipe it all off. Which is like, seems like such a waste of makeup. But you got to experiment. And you got to see. And now you get to see that the wipe actually does remove them all, which is fantastic. And I go back to having kind of like the normal splotchy side. And you can actually see the amount of makeup I had on my face. It's kind of gross. But it's just makeup. It's all good. You flip it around. And I try to wipe all of the foundation off before I do my eyeliner. It really doesn't matter. You could do whatever you want. It's just how I do things. It's habit. It really is. That's the main thing. The main gist is it's habit. And then you go through and wipe everything off. and you're good to go. I would be careful with these around your eyes. Some of them, if they're super, super damp, they can burn your eyes. Not like unbearable, they'll just get a little tingly. And then it's like, oh, be careful not to poke yourself in the eye with them. This one's not too bad, so I can rub at my eye pretty heavy, and it's like, oh. Underneath my eye likes to really hold makeup, so. There you go. Now I'm makeup free again. Well, you got to experiment with me. Don't forget the eyebrow thing we got going on here. It doesn't take too much. Now it's just wet, so it still looks dark, but there you go. Make them a little more even. Oh, voila. Well, glad you get to hang out. Sorry if I took too long, but it's just cash. That's what I do. Hang out. Hope you enjoyed. You'll see it again. I'll do it many times. Full face. I'll use different makeup. It'll happen. See you around. Bye.